So yeah, super excited to be here today uh, and to meet you guys virtually. My name is Harsha Mandadi, and I am a data platform engineer at Funding Circle. I joined Funding Circle in 2022, and before I was at Skyscanner. I have been working with data for quite a long time. I have, in my career, I have worked on developing some really complex processing data pipelines and also designed data systems. And I have a passion for all things data, and that's it about me. And with that said, today I'll talk about how we have leveraged DataHub at Funding Circle. And one second. So this is the agenda that we are going to cover today. So I'm going to briefly talk about who Funding Circle is, what we do as a company, and why we need a data ecosystem, and what problems does DataHub solve for us, and why we use it in the first place. And I'll also talk about the adoption metrics of DataHub, how well people have been using it within the company, et cetera, et cetera. And then I'll talk a little bit about the architecture that we use to enable the ingestion in a decentralized fashion so that the users can self-service themselves. And then I'll briefly talk about how the self-service user journey would look like with a brief demo. And then I'll talk about the wish list of features that I think would be cool for DataHub to have. And with that, without a further ado, let's jump straight in. For those who don't know about Funding Circle, so Funding Circle is a lending platform that connects small businesses with investors to secure business loans and be successful. The business of Funding Circle is primarily focused in the UK at the moment. And as you can read the numbers, we have helped over like 140K small businesses secure 16 billion pounds, and it helped like generate 95,000 plus jobs. So as you could imagine, uh, we would have data coming in from multiple systems, both internal and external, about loan applications, et cetera, and we need to process those external and internal systems data in order to make decisions on the loan applications that we get. So that's why we need a data ecosystem. And let's look at how our data ecosystem looks like. If you see the picture, we have data. Okay, first thing first, we use AWS, and all of our applications run in Kubernetes, just to set the context. And as you see on the left-hand side, we have data coming into the lake from multiple systems. Almost all the loan application data comes through Kafka, and we also have uh, some systems like RDBMS and SFTP, where we primarily get external data. And we have an ingestion layer, a processing layer, and a metadata storage layer, and then we have a layer or a tool for metadata storage, which is DataHub in our case. And we also use Tableau and SageMaker. Tableau for the purpose of visualization, and SageMaker for interactive on-demand notebooks for querying the data. So we have some custom platforms. I think it's important to remember this because I'll talk about it, why it's important. So we have a custom platform called Kirby, which processes data from all the Kafka topics and ingests the data into the lake. And once the data is in the lake, we use a combination of Glue, Athena, and Lake Formation for interactive querying, as well as restricting access. And as you see, we use open source technologies like Airflow for orchestrating our jobs, and DataHub for data discovery, PagerDuty, and Grafana for alerting and monitoring. So this is a very brief overview of how our data ecosystem is set up today. So given the number of components that we have, as you see in the picture, it's really important for us to understand how the data has been flowing through different systems, and to be able to visualize and understand how it has been flowing through different systems, to be able to analyze any impact of the changes you make, also to understand the upstreams and downstream dependencies of a given data set. And that's how, that's why a metadata platform comes into play. So as you see in the picture, we use DataHub now, but before we had another system called TrueDat for managing our metadata. And I'll briefly talk about the problems we had with TrueDat and why we chose to go with DataHub. So TrueDat was fine for some time, but as the demand from our users grew, it did not support a lot of the features that we wanted. So the first thing was it didn't provide us with the support of lineage at the time. So it was a big problem. Like if we don't have the lineage for a given data set, we wouldn't know how, how it's going to impact if you make changes to that data set, or, we wouldn't be able to understand how data has been flowing through the system as a whole. And it also didn't provide programmatic access. Because of that, we had to, do the ingestion in a centralized fashion, which was not very scalable because everything was centralized. And we couldn't also build any custom tooling that we wanted because there was no programmatic access. And lastly, the number of sources or the platforms that TrueDat supported were very limited. Especially, we use dbt very heavily for transforming data sets. And it didn't support dbt also at the time. And yeah, it didn't even support some of the existing platforms we had, but building or having metadata about custom platforms in TrueDat was like a really tough task. So that's why we switched over to DataHub. On the other hand, DataHub provided us with out-of-the-box lineage support, both the column and the table level lineage. And yeah, as you all know, DataHub supports multiple ways of ingesting the metadata into DataHub through programmatically. And the sources that are supported by DataHub are there's a lot of data sources that are provided by DataHub. But if you also want to extend the metadata model to have your custom platforms information or metadata in DataHub, that's also possible. And that's what we did for our custom platforms that I was talking earlier about. And with that said, let's have a look into how the adoption of DataHub has been within the company. So we have our instance running from the past 1 year, and within 1 year we have over like 84 different teams that use DataHub at the moment. And we had like 5,500 search results viewed in the last 24 weeks. And right now we have like 23,000 different data sets registered in DataHub. And that's not from all the all the different sources we have. That's only from some sources. We have many more sources that are yet to be ingested. And so far we have at least 341 unique users that have used DataHub at least once. So based on these metrics, I think I would consider that it has been like really successful and it has been well adopted within our organization. And after this, I'll briefly talk about the architecture, the decentralized architecture that we use to ingest the metadata into DataHub, which enables our users to self-service. So as you see in the picture, on the left side, you see a couple of different sources. And for all of these sources, we use the standard recipes that are provided by DataHub, and they're scheduled to run in Airflow on a schedule. So they all run fine and ingest the metadata into DataHub with the REST sync. So you can use different ways of ingesting the metadata. We chose to go with the REST sync because it was quite handy for us. And if we talk about the metadata, so in this case, for example, for dbt and Kafka, we could add the metadata information about the owners, tags, terms, domains, etc. at the source itself, according to our metadata standards. but it was not the same case for other sources. For example, Postgres, Tableau, and Athena, it was not the same case. So we had to come up with an alternative approach to make that happen so that the users can, tag the information about uh, an Athena dataset, for example, or a Postgres dataset. So that's how um, the plugin came into the picture. So the plugin, for those who don't know about plugins, plugin is nothing but it's a code base that is bundled into a Docker image and published to the ECR. So since all the code is bundled into an image, the users can basically pull that image, do some configuration changes, and the code will basically work anywhere within the organization, right? Since it's an image, so they can do the ingestion in a decentralized fashion from different sources or from different places. And I will quickly talk about how the self-service user journey would look like, and I will just walk you through what steps the end users need to take to have their metadata ingested into DataHub. As you can see in the picture, so it's pretty self-explanatory. So the first thing first is, as a user, I need to write a YAML file, which is pretty similar to DataHub recipes, and I'll show how it would look like. And after that, I need to add a step to my CI/CD pipeline definition. In our case, we mainly use drone, but some users also use GitHub Actions. And after that, they just need to promote their build, their CI/CD build to the environment they would like to see their metadata ingested into. And here comes the plugin. So the plugin helps take care of ingesting the metadata into DataHub. And after that, they can simply see how the metadata would look like in DataHub. We do have some guardrails to make sure that we just don't ingest anything that the users want to ingest. We have validations and stuff like that. I will now quickly go through a demo. So this is a YAML file. For example, as a user, for example, I want to enrich an Athena table. So I just need to write the YAML file in this format. So I just specify the table name and the database name. So the geography here corresponds to the platform instance in DataHub terms. So we have slightly modified, the terminology just to make the user experience easy and better. And similarly, so I write all the information related to my data set, my Athena data set. And similarly, if I want to create a data product as well, as part of the same process, I can do that like so, define everything that is required for creating a data product. And so we have this customization for creating data products because it's, of course, DataHub also provides, one sec, DataHub also provides a recipe to, create a data product, which looks like this. Of course, users can simply use this style and they can create data products. But in our case, we thought that, okay, if a user wants to create a data set, they have to specify the full URLs of the data assets. The same thing goes for the owners, the tags, terms as well. We thought that it's okay, but it wouldn't be a great user experience if you think about the end users, if they have to go find out all the information or the full URLs of each data set that they want to be part of their data product. So we thought like, okay, maybe we could simplify that by specifying, if they could specify the platform and some other variables, we would build the URLs for them and ingest the metadata into DataHub. So yeah, this is the customization we have. And as you could see, we use Pydantic in our plugin, which basically validates the YAML structure. They can't ingest anything they like. We do have some guardrails, and it also validates if a given data set is already present in DataHub. If not, then the plugin will throw errors. So this is the first step. As a user, I've written down my YAML file. And the second step that I need to do is I need to add a step in the drone pipeline definition. So as I mentioned, we use drone primarily for CI/CD. So I just specify a name and the image of the plugin. And in settings, I specify the manifest file, which is this file that the plugin needs to read. And so this is the environment that the plugin needs to ingest the metadata into. So once I have all this information set up, I do the necessary steps in my CI/CD, and that's it. So if the metadata, if the manifest file is valid, the user, as a user, I should see the metadata reflect in DataHub. I can quickly show you how it would reflect. This is just a screenshot from our instance. So this is a data product. This is a dummy data product I have just ingested just for the demo purposes. So this is how it would look like. So all the owners and the tags, terms, everything like that that were written in the manifest file would reflect here. And that's it for the demo. And after that, I'll quickly talk about the wish list.
Hey,
After that, I'll quickly talk about the wish list of features that I think would be cool for DataHub to have. Uh, as you can see, the first one is, a feature to subscribe to a given data set. If you could subscribe, that would be cool. If I'm interested in a data set, I can simply go subscribe and be informed about whatever happens to that data set. And the second one is to have the ability to comment on a data set, let it be feedback, questions, or anything like that. And the third one is integration with PagerDuty, so that, as a user, I can go and understand the history of incidents for a given data set. And lastly, lineage at the data product level or a database level. So right now, DataHub provides the lineage at the column and at the table level out of the box. And if you could have it at the level of a data product or a database also, it would be pretty handy to understand, the upstreams and the downstream of a given data product, for example. And lastly, we'd like a little bit more direction on the data products approach from Acryl. And with that said, I am pretty much done. And lastly, I would like to thank you all for tuning in and listening to the presentation. And a big shout out to my teammates who have been really supportive and helpful in making DataHub a success at our company. And if you would like to talk to us about how we have leveraged DataHub a little bit more in depth, you could reach out to us through the mentioned means. You could reach out to any of the engineers, or you could email us. We'd be more than happy to help you guys. Thank you very much.